Hello, welcome back everybody. Sort of a rainy day, been a rainy week. Really can't get much done, so I have a little bit of time off. I was going through my laptop and found pictures for this video I was going to do 4 years ago. I just never got around to it. So I figured today would be a good day to do this video. So I get asked a lot in comments and in general why I went Ventrac and why I wouldn't go Steiner or Bobcat. And there is a few reasons for that. So I never really wanted to do this video because I didn't want anyone to think that I was really bashing the Steiner or the Bobcat, because I don't want to come off that way. I don't hate Steiner. I don't hate Bobcat by no means. Like, I still have a Steiner sweeper. I still have the Steiner sprayer. I even have a Steiner Utilimax. So it's not like I hate the brand, but I'd been around the machines for 36 years. My dad bought his first Steiner 420 back in January of 1989. He traded that in and got a Steiner 430 in June of 1997 when the 430 was released. I purchased my 430 in 2006. My dad bought a newer Steiner 430 with the Kubota liquid cooled gas in 2010. And then in 2020, we both sold our Steiners and we bought Ventrac, and I don't plan on ever switching back. So I'd been around the brand for a long time. I'd even worked at a Steiner dealership part-time on weekends in the mid-90s for a few years. So always enjoyed the machines. I like them. It's just, I really enjoyed my 430, but when I wanted to get a little larger machine, something bigger and newer, I did look at the 440s and the 450s, but the Ventrac for me was the way to go. And when I looked at them both side by side, that was my decision. And I'm going to tell you why I decided to go with Ventrac and I left the Steiner, and I really wouldn't go Bobcat. So this video is for mostly anyone in the market for a Ventrac or a Steiner, and maybe you're new to the brand, you guys really aren't sure, because looking at the machines, yes, they're both 8-wheel capable. They both articulate, they oscillate, they can mow up to 30-degree slopes, and they do share some of the same engine components like Kubota and that kind of thing. But when you look at them and you start getting in deep, they're two totally different machines. They really are. So Barry Fry, Sunset Outdoor, he did a video on this recently comparing the two. I got to meet Barry last year at Kidron at the Steiner Ventrac swap meet. I got to talk to him for a little bit. Really nice guy. He was talking a little bit about the Bobcat machine because he had it there and was showing some of the differences on it that I didn't even know. So he did a video on that. He actually purchased a Bobcat, put it in his showroom next to the Ventracs, and he said every time you compare the two machines, they always go with the Ventrac, which I don't think he's lying at all, because that doesn't surprise me. Aaron Graber with Ventrac, they recently did a video on this as well, comparing the two. There was a few things that Aaron brought up that were actually things that I noticed when I bought my tractor. I'm going to share that with you, of the reasons why I went with the Ventrac and that I thought of too. So they're both two really good videos. I'm not trying to copy these videos. I'm just, like I said, I've gotten a lot of comments through the years of, you know, why I left Steiner. So I'm just going to tell you the big differences for me on the machines. And I'm also going to throw a link in the description below to Sunset Outdoors video and Ventrac. So when you get done watching this video, I strongly recommend going down in the description and clicking on both them links to watch them videos, because they're very informative as well. So to get started with it, comparing the two machines, I'm going to compare a Steiner 450 with the Kubota diesel to the 4500 with the diesel, because that's the machine that I was purchasing, was the 4500, and I'm going to put it up to the Steiner 450. Now, the Steiner tractor is the same as the Bobcat AT 450. It's just, they make them, they say Bobcat now. When I first went and was looking at tractors, the first thing I noticed, and Aaron Graber brought this up, was the air cleaner. The air cleaner on the Steiner, just looking at it, it's in the small size. Looking at the Ventrac's a Donaldson air cleaner, very large. It's got a primary and secondary air filter element in there, so you get two elements. With the Steiner, you get just one. Now, These machines, and this is where I'm saying a lot of the things you're gonna hear me say with the Ventrac, I feel is more of a commercial grade machine, and the Bobcat or the Steiner is more of a residential or home machine. Now, I'm not saying that by purchasing this, it's gonna break down and that it's junk. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, like I said, this video is not to bash the product. It's just to tell you my thoughts on why I chose the Ventrac. When you're using this Ventrac, a lot of the tasks you use it for, whether you're tough cutting or the power rate creates lots of dust. I was grinding stumps last year and it was sort of in a drought area. There was tons of dust. So when you're using this machine all day, if you're a contractor or a landscaper or even a residential homeowner like myself, these things go through a lot of dusty conditions. So having a large air filter with a large capacity is very important. Just looking at it, you know, side by side, the air filters, the Ventrac definitely shines there. The other big thing I noticed when I popped the hood, and this was the first thing that I seen, was the radiator size. The radiator on the Ventrac is large. When you look at it, it's like a custom radiator. It's all aluminum. You can just tell by looking at it how large it is. When you pop the hood of the Steiner or the Bobcat, it's got a really thin radiator in it. The top's plastic. It didn't look as beefy. So when I seen that, you know, I research everything before I buy it, and that's just what I do. I'm always researching, looking things up. The Ventrac holds 7 quarts of coolant, which equals out to be 6.6 liters. Now, I looked up the Bobcat and the Steiner. It was the Steiner then. Bobcat hadn't owned them yet, but the Bobcat's the same. 3.3 quarts is what the Bobcat holds, which is 3.1 liters. So the Ventrac has over 50% more coolant capabilities than the Steiner Bobcat. So that's very important. There again, these machines are running on hillsides and slopes, and they're running these things for 8+ hours a day out in the heat. When you're tough cutting, for a lot of people with dandelion season. For me, I get a lot of cottonwood. So when I mowed, depending on the season, my radiator screen can get, you know, hammered with cottonwood very quickly. I've never had an overheating issue with my Ventrac ever. Usually when it hits the third green bar, I stop. I always keep an eye on my radiator screen too. If I see it's getting clogged, I pull it out. But there again, I just feel with the Steiner, that little itty bitty radiator with that little bit of coolant, you're gonna have a hard time keeping the machine cool. With anything though, like I said, the radiator in the Ventrac is very capable, but you do have to maintain it and keep it clean if you want to keep it operating and perform like it should. And I did do a video on that, making sure to clean the radiator, if you guys want to check that out. Now, here's another one I noticed, and the hydraulic oil cooler. On a Ventrac, the hydraulic oil cooler is located on the right-hand side of the operator in the fender, and it's got an electric fan that's thermostatically controlled, and when the temperature rises and it needs to cool it, the fan kicks on to cool your system down. On the Steiner and the Bobcat, the hydraulic oil cooler is located in front of the radiator. I noticed this right off the bat. I don't think it's a good location. I could be wrong. I've never operated a 450 in extreme conditions, but to give you an example, it's 100-degree ambient temperature outside, so it's 100 Fahrenheit. You're out mowing. You're trying to keep your machine running about 180. So you're sucking a lot of hot air through your radiator as it is. Now, anyone that's operated a Ventrac, or they can tell you, when you put your hand behind that fan, when it kicks on the hydraulic oil cooler in the summer, there's a lot of heat coming out of that. So now you're pulling 100-degree air through a hydraulic oil cooler, then through your radiator. I think that combined with the smaller radiator on the machine, I think you're gonna have a hard time keeping the unit cool. I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't know. I've never really operated one to be able to tell you. Maybe there's some of you out there that operate them. Does it keep it cool? I'm just curious. But for me, just looking at it, it was a big turn off for me. I like the setup on the Ventrac way better. Now, this one's for a diesel model. This doesn't really pertain to gas, but for the diesel guys out there, since I purchased diesel, this was a big one for me. And the fuel filter on the diesel. When you look at the fuel filter on the Steiner, it's your stock Kubota water separator fuel filter. It's the secondary filter. They both have primary filters before the fuel pump, but this is the secondary filter. The Ventrac uses a Raycor water separator fuel filter. It's a spin-on filter. It's great filtration. It's got a little valve on it on the bottom of the sight glass so you can see if there's water in there and you can easily drain it. Like I said, tractors are my thing. I do a lot of research. I'm always reading on the internet. This is a big deal. If you look up the Kubota guys on the BX series sites, a lot of them are changing to this style Raycor filter. They're trying to find places to mount it, and they're getting rid of the stock Kubota filter, and they're going with this water separator fuel filter because it is far superior to the stock. So it is a great option to have. This comes standard with the Ventrac. They just put this on right as it comes out of the factory. So that's just one more thing that makes it more of a commercial grade machine, in my opinion. The other thing that I really noticed that stuck out for me was options and accessories. And this is one thing that the Bobcat just lacks, and the Steiners. When you look at the Ventrac, they offer all kinds of accessories, whether it's a rear work light kit, a beacon, they make turn signals, rear 12 volt. They have things like backup alarms. You can get a canopy with a fan. You can get a light kit for the canopy. And this is all options. So this is a big deal if you're like, a municipality, maybe you're a landscaper, or you do snow removal and things like that, and you want rear work lights and you want beacons and you want all this stuff. Even me as a homeowner, I added a lot of this myself. Some of it came factory installed when I ordered the tractor, and then I bought the kits later on. And it's nice because Ventrac has all the switches already pre-cut in the dash with the symbols there and everything. It's very simple. You buy the kit, you remove the plastic dummy plug in there, you insert your switch. It's already pre-wired from the harness. You plug in your switch, you plug in the fuse in the fuse box. It's plug and play. Their instructions are the most detailed instructions, I will say. They give you plenty of pictures and everything to look at. It was the easiest directions to make anything to install that I've ever done. And I'm not just saying that. I've made that comment in other videos when I showed installing things. They're really detailed in their instructions, and I like that. So it's nice because anything you want to add, it's already pre-wired for it, and they offer a lot of options. Now, if you have a Steiner or you buy the Bobcat and you want to add rear lights or extra lights or even a flashing light, beacon, anything, there's no cutouts, no nothing. So you either have to drill into your dash or somewhere on the unit, add switches. You either have to go into the wiring and harness itself, maybe come right off the battery. I don't like doing that. It's potential for shorts, fire, not to mention you start, doing things like that, you're going to avoid things like warranty. I just don't know why they don't offer it, but that was a big thing for me because I can add all kinds of accessories I want on the Ventrac. This was the biggest one for me, and this is going to be the biggest one for probably anybody and anyone that will ever tell you that it's operated a Ventrac. This was the biggest deal for me, why I loved the machine. I loved all the other things, but this was the big one. The SDLA lever and the controls and operation of the Ventrac. And for you out there that do not know what the SDLA lever is, speed, direction, lift, and auxiliary. So the Ventrac has 2 sticks. It controls everything. You can go forward, reverse, your auxiliary hydraulics, even your secondary auxiliaries are push button, and then you can control them by 2 sticks. A foot pedal is an option on the Ventrac, which I did get, and I use the foot pedal for primarily only going forward for mowing and maybe transport. Now the Steiner and the Bobcat, they come with a foot pedal standard, and the hand operation is an accessory, and they do it backwards, and I like the Ventrac way better. I'm going to explain that. And on the Steiner, you have on the fender, your auxiliaries are separate, and then your secondary auxiliaries are even separate also. So you've got 4 sticks for your auxiliaries, and then this handle that's way up here. It's sort of awkward. I've run one before. I didn't like it. And when you go forward, it's like a real long forward and backwards. And when you're turning, it does get in the way. I don't like it at all. The controls are just terrible. They're not real easy to run. The SDLA lever, a lot of people say the Ventrac has a fancy joystick, and I'd say joystick's a good term for it because it does make the tractor a joy to operate. So being able to do everything from the SDLA lever, and when I'm doing anything, when I'm grading, using the blade, the power bucket, even the power rake, any attachment I've ever used, even trenching, I never use the foot control. I always use the SDLA lever, and it's because I can control everything easily and I have more control on it. Now, Aaron Graber did a video a long time ago. I don't remember everything on it, but they had a man and a woman and they never operated a Ventrac before, and they were getting on it and they were teaching them how to operate it to show how easy it was. And when the girl got on the seat, this one didn't have the optional foot pedal. She said, "Where's the foot pedal? Why doesn't it have a foot pedal?" Aaron Graber took his wallet out and he tossed it to her and she caught it, and he asked her why she didn't catch it with her feet. That's always stuck with me. It's the best terminology I can tell you with that, because it's 100% true. You have so much more coordination with your hands than you do your feet. I never use the foot control to back up. My hand's always on the SDLA lever. When I back up in reverse, I always have my hand on it because I have better control. The foot pedal for me is just for long distances. And I like having them both because they both work great in conjunction with each other. But as far as the SDLA lever goes, it's such a joy to use. Not only that, all the controls around the Ventrac when you're operating it, everything's within easy reach. They did change the switches on the 4520 a little bit compared to the 4500 like mine, but it's still, everything's within hands reach, arms reach. It's comfortable. It just feels great. I really think when they designed the 4500, they started with a seat. I will say that they put a seat and they designed the whole tractor around it because the ergonomics of the tractor are perfect. When I found out they were coming out with a 4520, I was a little worried and nervous. I'm not going to lie, because I thought they might be changing a whole tractor. But I'm really glad that Ventrac kept the platform the same as the 4500, because I'm not saying you can't improve it, because maybe there is a way to improve it, but it's going to be tough because they nailed it the first time, and operating the tractor is just great. One other thing to consider if you are looking at a Ventrac or a Steiner is resale. Resale is a big thing. For some, if you go to trade your machine in, a friend of mine, Perry, he had a 45, well, he still has, he has a 4500Y. He recently last year bought a 4520Y. Now, he loves his Ventrac so much, he couldn't get rid of his 4500, he kept it. So now he has two of them, but they offered him a lot of money trade-in for it, really good trade-in value. And he said that it was a really good offer and he could have sold it quickly, but he decided to keep it. So this goes with attachments, even tractors. If you want to sell it and upgrade or get something different, the resale on a Ventrac is just way better than a Bobcat and a Steiner. So them were the big deals for me on why I chose the Ventrac, and I wouldn't choose the Bobcat. That was my reasonings. One other thing I'm going to share, because this is brought up a lot, and I hear this on social media platforms and everything, and everybody brings up the cost. Now, I don't know what the costs are now, because with the inflation and stuff keeps rising, and I'm not going to get into all that because, like I said, just the supply chain and everything that's gone on since COVID, I can't keep up. But I'm just going to throw some numbers out here, and these numbers are just like general numbers. These might not actually be what they are, but people a lot of times say you can save some money by getting a Bobcat or a Steiner. Maybe they're a little cheaper, and that may be the case, but I'm going to give you an example here of my thought on this real quick. Say you have this cheese plate, and you got this lovely cheese plate. You're going to go to a party in a couple days, and you go to the store and you want to buy some crackers to accommodate your cheese plate. And on the shelf, they have brand name A, which is Ventrac, and on the shelf, they have brand name B, which is Steiner Bobcat. Now, they're both delicious crackers. They're both going to accommodate your cheese plate just fine. But brand name A, Ventrac crackers, are 99 cents a box, and brand name B, Bobcat Steiner, are 89 cents a box. So everybody's looking at a way to cut some costs and save some money. So you think, hey, I'm going to save 10% and I'm going to buy the Steiner Bobcat crackers. You get home a day or two later, you get out this beautiful cheese plate, you're getting ready to go to your party, you're all excited, you open up your crackers, you get them out there and you realize that you don't have enough crackers for your cheese plate. You fell short. Maybe you should have bought 2 boxes. You're a little bummed out, but regardless, it did the job. You know, it accommodated your cheese plate, not how you wanted it to, but it did it. So upon research and investigation, next time you go to the store, you look at the boxes of the crackers and you look, and brand name A, Ventrac, is 10 ounces, and brand name B, Steiner Bobcat, is only 8 ounces. So the whole point of me rambling on with this story is, you may save a little bit, say you save 10%, but you're getting 20% less of a product. And that is my feeling. And like I said, I'm not trying to bash the Bobcat guys. I'm not trying to put it down because I don't hate them. But I just feel that for the little bit of money that you're saving, you're really losing a lot in the machine. So the little bit more money you're paying for the Ventrac, you're getting a lot more of a machine with cooling, just the SDLA lever, the controls, the resale, everything that I said here. And like I said, watch the Sunset Outdoor and the Ventrac video, because they're going to point out a lot of things that I didn't even know about. But these were just my decision points when I purchased the tractor. So that's the video. I hope this information was helpful to some of you that are looking to purchase one of these videos. I know this is a little bit long. I tend to talk a lot. If you like these kind of videos and you want to see more on the Ventrac in action, I got a lot of videos on there. So be sure to subscribe and keep checking these videos. I got a lot more to come here this summer on some new things they got. Ventrac released the remote control tractor. They also, a new tough cut deck, a weed attachment, all kinds of things. I'm going to try to get my hands on these to do some testing and in-depth videos on these for you. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.